Dori, Belle, Lady MeeLing America. I've been known by a few names. So I'm going to start off with a quick little, because I feel like it. Oh, sing. Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, save us, that star-spangled banner yet wave, for the land of the free and the home of the brave. So, I'm writing some stuff up. I'm going to be posting a video, or, well, hopefully, but also posting a article stuff in regards to this video to go along with. And so, I was getting certain aspects squared away in reference to my Medal of Honor art project, but in conjunction with a few spiritual and religious aspects. So I have discussed in prior videos, although not nearly as much as in writing in certain regards, in reference to my ex-sisters-in-law. Now I know I'm not the only person who has some ex-in-laws that are like, psh, I could do without those. Like, I could really do without. I cannot be the only person that's like, yeah, you're an ex-in-law. Like, there are some that are cool. There are some that, you can still, and then there's, like, the other ones where you're like, I don't think so. Like, no. The relationship's over. We're not, no. Don't have to. Don't have to. At all. You want to pay attention online? That's your choice, but whatever, that don't make real friends in regards and certain references, especially when it comes to ex-in-laws. Am I right? I would guesstimate so. That being said, one of the things I've been, ex-sisters-in-law and their children decided to not listen to me in a multitude of ways. So, for example, when it came to the fact that they knew my dead ex-husband, their dead brother / husband, was an atheist when he died. His one thing that he wanted on his tombstone was specifically the atheist symbol. It doesn't matter that he confessed to what he did, in part. It doesn't change that in the slightest. And so even though my ex-sisters-in-law knew that their dead brother was an atheist, and not only did they know that, but they also had arranged for him to go through Catholic funerary rites at the church that they grew up going to, according to what Susie Marie Nichols Lopez said. She made those arrangements, not me. I tried to keep it simple, despite the fact that I had said, okay, you know what, Grandpa Nichols and Grandma Nichols, I know are not going to, like, Grandma Nichols might go to San Antonio, but Grandpa Nichols is going to be upset if he doesn't go to his son's funeral. Especially him being the baby of the family. So, in that regard, to make sure Grandpa Nichols would be able to go to his son's funeral. I didn't have to do this, by the way. I did not have to be that type of an ex-wife. I could have been the biggest, whatever expletive you want to use, and I would have been within my legal rights to as well, as the only executrix. I'd have been within my legal rights to do so. However, being kind and respectful to the extended family, to who would fly in, all that sort of stuff, and ironically, my ex-mother-in-law's mother flew in from New York. Well, that is a cheaper flight to the Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport in comparison to the San Antonio International Airport. That doesn't include whoever else flew in. And so, and it was just easier for the eldest brother to be able to drive in with his wife and her daughters. It was easier for that. And on top of which, because I am the way I am, I would have opened the house up that I had in San Antonio. And then there would have been those issues for Tony mainly. My ex-brother-in-law, yeah, there would have been a lot of issues. Because of my ex-sisters-in-law specifically, and specifically their daughters. Yeah, specifically Sandra Marie Osteen and Ariel Marie Osteen from Mary Evangelina Nichols Osteen. Mainly those two. And while Tony wouldn't have had as much of an issue with Marissa Marie Lopez, he would have had an issue with Brianna Marie Lopez, the attitude that she would get when with Sandra Marie and Ariel Marie Osteen. Oh yeah, no, I know that for a fact. I know that for a fact. And then Gail would have been upset because Tony was upset, and then they already had issues with certain attitudes when it came to Tori. So, you know, didn't need to add to that, and then have like however long that would have taken. I just, you know, I was being respectful in that regard. I did not have to. I did not have to. Nonetheless, and then like Grandma Nichols living in the, it just would not have been a good situation at all. And then my neighbors would have had to deal with that, and I know one of my neighbors got to deal with one of my ex-sisters-in-law. I was not about to make her and her children and her husband have to deal with that, on top of which, you know, maybe I'm, and then some other neighbor, yeah, no. While I got along with other neighbors, it was one of those, no, I'm just not going to do that to you guys. I may look as I do. I am as I am, but I'm mean. I'm not that mean. I mean only when it is warranted and justified, and that would be unwarranted and unjustified in my opinion. That would have been I couldn't do it. No. And then the city of San Antonio would have had no. No, I did what I could to not have that as a really big issue. I kind of figured the irony now. Nonetheless, Susie Marie Nichols Lopez had set up the funerary rites with the Catholic Church, and it was one of those, there are chaplains in the Army. Oh, but it's not this church. Okie dokie. But there's still chaplains in the Army. Okay, fine. So then I've written about and I've discussed many times before I wrote about the aspects of, the Chief Warrant Officer 3 direct ordering an E7 because he was not high-ranking enough to be at an E5's funeral. Just throwing that out there. He just wasn't high-ranking enough as an E7. Think about that for those who have military backgrounds. Direct order, not allowed to be there. Nope, not allowed to be there at all. I don't know. Anyway, and then, the only captain that was allowed to be there was the one of the warrior transition unit, and then other than that, one major who was again a part of warrior transition unit, and then everybody else had to be like lieutenant colonel and above because, a major was and a captain were, they were just too low ranking in comparison when you think about it, that, you can't show, oh, okay. Red flag. Red flag, red flag. Oh, there's two different 2-star generals? Woo! But other captains are too low ranking for an E5, and then an E7 is not high ranking enough to be the funeral director. It has to be a Chief Warrant Officer 3 for an E5. Okay, I didn't finish basic training. I finished basic training in the Army. I had to be retaught ranks. But I knew that was a little bit of a whole bunch of, enough red flags to literally put, a stripe in the American flag in red just from that situation. Hey, so many red flags. Look, there's literally one of the stripes. Right there. Hey. What's up, you guys? Woo. And then, those poor guys who had no idea as far as the 21 gun saluters is one of those, yeah. Do they know who's here? I don't think they know who's here. They're on the other side of the wall. I think they're in for a shock. Ooh, and then the irony of a couple misfires, and then when I was like, hey, did anybody hear that misfire? No, nobody heard that? I don't know. I sounded like a couple of them jammed. No? Oh, I think I heard that. No? Okie dokie. So then, but again, going back to the aspects of the religious and that sort of stuff, of my personal thing, while my dead ex-husband, when he was alive, he was absolutely disrespectful. Absolutely disrespectful. It didn't matter which religion it was. He was absolutely disrespectful. He didn't care. He actually would purposefully mess with other individuals. He would lead them on, making them think that, he wanted to talk about religion, and then he'd try to debate them so that way they weren't religious instead. And I was like, no, that's wrong. That's wrong. That, you know, if you don't believe, you don't believe, but you don't have to go and do that. You don't have to mess with those guys. And I dealt with conversations. The irony of which, in regards to his funerary rites. So his sisters in specific, they all knew, not just the sisters, but also their daughters, and Susie Marie Nichols Lopez's son, Joseph Anthony Lopez, knew that my dead ex-husband, their dead relative, was an atheist. They thought it would be funny. They thought it would be funny to put that stuff into his casket. And I was like, no, that's not funny. And then, where I thought that there was going to be a Catholic priest that showed up to Laurelland Funeral Home, no, his casket was taken to the Catholic Church. Now, I did go to a Catholic high school. I didn't learn the religious aspects in reference to the funerary rites, but something felt really, really wrong. I didn't have to go and find that priest legally. It was just an ethical and a moral thing. I just went, hey, if I'm wrong, I apologize for bothering you. However, I don't think he's supposed to be in, like, the cathedral. So, you know, is there anywhere else that the funeraries can be done in? Because, like, I don't know. Like, I obviously, you know, in person, I don't remember, like, I would guesstimate if I met the Pope in person, he'd probably be like, hi, I'm Pope Francis. Like, maybe, I don't know. I could be wrong, I don't know. Nonetheless, that would be something, right? That would be, and so, you know, if the priest had done so, because it wasn't done in the cathedral. And my ex-sisters-in-law were infuriated that it was not done in the cathedral. Now, they had already put in multiple, like, items that should not have been in there at all. At all. They took pictures, they did all sorts of stuff, and it's one of those, yeah, so in reference to what I was writing, I asked Susie Marie Nichols Lopez, my ex-sister-in-law, when she told me she was going to go and get the film developed, I was like, you do understand you're about to piss off a lot of film developers, right? And she goes, why would they be mad? Because if any of them are religious or spiritual at all, you are literally giving them the evidence of what you did. Like, seriously. You are literally giving them the evidence. I hope they go and research that before they go after stuff. I'm just saying, like, I'm just saying. And then, in regards to afterwards, you know, it's just one of those, oh, do I not have enough to deal with? Oh, no, okay, I guess I might. Sure. And so, you know, it's not like any of the military guys didn't see that and didn't know that were there. I mean, I spoke with some of the Patriot Rider guys. You know, I obviously spoke with some of the military guys. And then the fact that the Army for the United States of America knew that the atheist symbol was going on the marker. So obviously, they knew that he was an atheist when he died. Duh. And so, like, I don't even know, like, that's another, there are many reasons why I did everything as respectful as I possibly could when dealing with certain things and going up the chain of command, and that was one of those, like, I have no idea what any of those guys' religions are or spiritual paths are. I understand, like, maybe not the exact same. However, I know they saw that and they couldn't unsee that. And so, no matter which way I had to go, it was one of those, I know I don't have to, like, I could be, I could be mean if I have to. I prefer not to. And in this situation, it really needs to be delicately done. because of what my ex-in-laws did, which is the sad thing because it wasn't even me, it was my ex-in-laws. And so it's like, all right, so how do I not piss everybody off some more? Because and so then there was the aspects afterwards, after getting things squared away as far as the warrior transition unit and stuff like that, as far as making sure my son and my daughter were squared away, as far as the memorial service, but since having to go up the chain of command, well, here you go, well, what about this? What about this? Sort of thing. And all in respectful ways. I mean, I know that, I was very stern. However, still respectful. And then in regards to the aspects of I didn't have to. I did not have to. And that's one thing that they did not understand. They thought that they were entitled to that. No, they were not entitled to that. My ex-sisters-in-law and their daughters, that's not what they were entitled to. I didn't even have to let him have a funeral. I could have just, said, cremate him. And completely go against certain other aspects. Instead, I was being respectful as I could be. Now, in that regard, in going up the chain of command, I warned my ex-sister-in-law, Mary Evangelina Nichols Osteen, not to get involved. So if she went into Georgia and went and, blah, 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 garbage, 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 along with her two daughters with garbage, 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 after having been told that, my ex-husband, my dead ex-husband, their dead brother / spiritual husband, all that stuff, with the valor aspects, it's one of those, no, like, if they showed pictures to former Army guys, they'd be able to be like, yeah, so, stolen valor, instant. Like, they'd easily be able to. However, David was in the Air Force. While there is some similarities in each of the branches for certain ranks-ish, they're not the exact same. Same thing with ribbons, medals. There are a lot of similarities, not the exact same. And so, if because I know it happened, if Mary Evangelina Nichols Osteen went and complained to a bunch of people, there was one thing that David Osteen had brought out to Grandma Nichols' house, because one of his guys, that was a former Air Force guy, had made certain, like, he was testing certain things before doing it more in a broad aspect. And, brought it out to Grandma Nichols' house in Fort Worth. And it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was my dead ex-husband's picture of him in dress blues. Whereas the one that Susie Marie Nichols Lopez went through in Texas, she had complained to me that he wouldn't do the painting of my dead ex-husband for her in the dress blues. And I said, well, you were told by the Chief Warrant Officer 3 that, you were told by an active duty soldier of the fact that it was stolen valor. That's simple. You were told. And she was upset because the painting wasn't done in the dress blues. Well, there were too many issues, obviously. And so then there was the thing in Arizona where there was a presentation sort of thing. And I didn't even find out about it. So first off, I didn't find out about the dress blues issue picture thing until after they got back. That's when I found out about that. And then I didn't even find out about the thing that was done until the aspects of like 1 or 2 weeks right before they were leaving to go to Arizona. Now my daughter had already been in the hospital and stuff like that, and then they complained that I wasn't going to a thing for my dead ex-husband, who was abusive when he was alive, and still ex-husband before he died. My ex-sister-in-law, Susie Marie Nichols Lopez, complained that I did not want to go to a ceremony for my dead ex-husband having a picture done. Because, according to her complaints, how dare I care about my daughter after what occurred at the Fort Worth Zoo. So, one of the aspects of what I was writing about is in reference to all that, as well as the fact that Mary Evangelina Nichols Osteen, my ex-sister-in-law, did not pay attention at all to the fact that, similar to her sister, Susie Marie Nichols Lopez, to the fact that the Chief Warrant Officer 3 and an E5 soldiers, yeah, because the E7 was just too low ranking to do that job. Chief Warrant Officer 3. So, just saying. But the point being, if that wound up being a way, ironically, where the different branches were able to learn the ribbons and the ranks and stuff like that beyond just a small amount, so that way that sort of stuff didn't have to continue. Because, again, where the guy from Texas who did the painting, yeah, he obviously knew. And I didn't even have to see it, apparently, or see the records in comparison. Whereas the Air Force guy had to. I'm sure later wound up found out. And so, if that meant that all the different branches wound up slowly learning that sort of stuff, well then that, prevents certain aspects of stolen valor. However, if my ex-sisters-in-law, and specifically their daughters, got upset, specifically Mary Evangelina Nichols Osteen's daughter, Sandra Marie Osteen, and other daughter, Ariel Marie Osteen, threw a fit. Because, I would not acknowledge any lies. That was their revenge, was to go after my Medal of Honor art project. Now that pretty much perpetuated the same aspects of what they were already doing before my Medal of Honor art project. And I'm not going to divorce them. If law enforcement, which I don't think law enforcement would need me to, give permission for an exhuming, because they would be able to just get a warrant, I would guesstimate. I'm not gonna, okay. However, if there is a religious group, specific ones that want to make sure, despite the video footage and the camera footage, for ritualistic aspects, yeah, okay. But only then. Otherwise, I know it's known. I know it's known that my ex-sisters-in-law and their daughters and son had done that. And that even with an exhuming, that wouldn't divorce them. Conversely, it would be better for the spiritual aspects of the others that are in the cemetery at the Dallas-Fort Worth National Cemetery. That would calm some of that down. However, that will not undo what was already done, obviously, and will not divorce them. Ironically, it'll make the strong bonds much stronger. And I think nonetheless, otherwise, that is what it is. So, if that's wanting to be done, then I'm sure that there are a couple churches that are recognized in the United States of America that if they want to, yeah, okay, let me know and get the paperwork taken care of, get the exhuming done and all that stuff. If not, he can stay in the ground and I don't care. My only concern is in reference to the other guys, spirits that are in that particular location. Definitely not my ex-in-laws, especially my ex-sisters-in-law, except for Marissa. Not saying, it's just not saying anything. I do have a favorite. I don't deny that. Though, next in line is Brianna. I tried warning both of them. However, also because of that ancestral thing that my ex-sisters-in-law defended, if one of, specifically, Mary Evangelina Nichols Goldstein's daughters was like, oh, that would be, and we're not technically related, ew, no, ew, no, no, ew, just ew, no, and I have an age requirement. and not my type of, no, no, not gonna, no, just ew. Apparently 736 is throwing a temper tantrum.